obviously big game tomorrow night with the Calgary Flames playing Game 4 of the Stanley Cup first round series against the Vancouver Canucks. And Scott, what have we seen so far after these first 3 games?
Yeah, what's always interesting in the playoffs is who's going to play the hero. And with the first line of the Flames still dormant, for lack of a better word, other guys have stepped up. You can talk about Ferland stepping up. You can talk about Bennett stepping up. But you can't forget Joel Colburn, for instance, stepping up physically. Matt Stajan, especially last night, playing head-to-head with the Sedins, winning almost 70% of his face-off. Don't forget Jonas Hiller. He's playing behind a tired defense, behind a very young team, and he's been solid so far. No complaints there.
There have been interesting surprises. Obviously, Michael Ferland, with the way that he's kind of getting under the skin of the Canucks. And Sam Bennett. Nobody knew what we were going to expect from Sam Bennett, if he was going to be able to score at this level, and if he was going to be able to play right away after having undergone shoulder surgery. But lo and behold, he has 1 goal and an assist in 3 games, and has really been a big surprise and a nice surprise for the Flames, especially when their first line has kind of fallen off a little bit of the map, which you kind of did expect. You knew that Vancouver was going to play the first line pretty hard.
Yeah, and speaking of Bennett, we've all seen lots of goals scored in this rink, but when Bennett scored here, I've never seen a reaction like that ever. Like an immediate standing ovation, and the kid was excited. He was on the bench. He could barely control himself. He was so excited. So that livens up our group. And the way Ferland and Bennett are playing, it's like the Flames have traded for 2 really good players in April somehow, because they weren't here in any part of the season in any meaningful way till the last couple of weeks for Ferland and the playoffs for Bennett. And they've been impactful, to say the least.
And obviously the Flames need to use that energy of the crowd to their advantage. Their discipline needs to also just tighten up a little bit. They've kind of taken a few penalties maybe they shouldn't have, and which is expected. I mean, they're excited. They're a young team playing in their first. A lot of them are playing in their first playoff games. They're going to need to just calm that down, because that's going to continue, and the physical play will continue definitely in Game 4.
Yeah, and I think you'll see much better games from the Sedins from here on in. I would expect so. The Canucks, they look great on the power play, yet they're only 1 for 10, and had they been even 3 for 10, 4 for 10, it would be a completely different series. I think there is some pressure on the Sedins to pick it up.
Your take, Scott. What do you think that the Flames will need to do in Game 4 to get by the Vancouver Canucks and get a 3-1 lead in the series?
Well, as much as that sounds amazing, a 3-1 lead in the series, we sound like a broken record here, and that the first line has to get going. And Johnny looks frustrated, and he's getting the hell slashed out of him, and Monahan and Hudler just don't look the same. So that's a concern, because you can't expect the Flames to go far without a first line.
And if they can get their depth to produce and continue to produce like Sam Bennett and get that line going, I think they'll be okay.
I agree.
Thanks a lot.